anything bad about somebody.
All right, it is 9:01 a.m. this Thursday, April 25th, 2019. This is the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Delphi. I'll call the public hearing to order at the same time, 9:01 a.m.
I need a piece of paper.
Do you?
I need a piece of paper. I didn't bring anything with me today. Thank you, sir.
Emily from Curbsy, do you want to go over
Yeah,
this public hearing's about?
I certainly can. I'm going to pass around a sign-in sheet. That way we can make for the record as to who is in attendance today. As you all are aware, hopefully, the city is applying to the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs to their wastewater drinking water program. We are applying for a grant in the amount of $514,723.85.
We just.
514, 723, 85.
85, correct. The city will be contributing
Grant amount. Yes.
a 20% local match of, and that amount is $128,680.96. That again is coming from an SRF loan, and a total project cost including engineering, construction, grant admin, labor standards, and environmental. Total project cost for this portion of this project is $643,404.81. And this portion of the project, we are looking to rehabilitate the.
Rehabilitate.
Yes, we are
Is an important word.
rehabilitating,
I mean, fix.
we
Means
are.
rehabilitate.
We are rehabilitating the 3 tanks, so that is Hilltop, Deer Creek, and the ground tank on Armory Road. So those are the, that in a sense is the project that we will be submitting to the state. Proposals are due on May 3rd. We will, after we submit a proposal, we will have a site visit. Jerry White will come on site, and he will discuss the proposal and any additional information that needs to be had for the application, with the mayor, and the engineer, and if any superintendents, and obviously any council or board of work members that wish to attend, are always welcome in that meeting. A full application will be submitted on June 28th, and prior to that, we will also have a second public hearing. And the state is really pushing for public input on their utility projects. So we will also be submitting and putting together a, probably a web-based and a paper survey. I know for some of the other projects, we have done a paper survey in the utility office, just to kind of give the public, as they're coming in, an opportunity to kind of share any experience, any issues that they've been having with their water supply or anything like that. That additionally will provide a backup document for need and reflect residential need within the application. So that in a nutshell is why we're here. And if there's any questions from anybody,
And the reason that we're doing, so phase 2 of the water project is rehab on those 3 tanks, construction of a new tank near the Armory Road tank, a transmission or distribution main, possibly both, running from the well field to the Armory Road tanks. The reason that we're only applying for these 3 tanks is really a time issue.
Yes.
Emily, do you want to talk
yes.
about that a little bit?
So since the other tank, the new tank in that transmission line, requires property acquisition. Obviously you would have to acquire that parcel or portion of that parcel that the new tank would go on. And then we would have to identify all of those easements where that transmission line would go. We would have to follow the full, Uniform Relocation Act, which is a federal, acquisition process. And that does take a little bit of time, especially, I know the, well, where the new tower would go. I know that they are out of state, so we have to submit, there's a lot of back and forth paperwork on that because it would require, appraisals, and then there's some legal time back and forth of trying to like kind of gather down, what your purchase option could be, what that amount could be, and it just takes, we didn't really have a sufficient time to get that all done before June, basically. And especially because I'm not sure in the engineering side if all of those easements have been determined for the transmission line. And for each of those easements, it requires an individual survey, with property exhibits, property maps. So that takes a lot of time on the engineering, but also on the legal front. And especially if you have a property owner, the perfect situation, perfect scenario is the property owner would be willing to just donate the easement and there would be no cash exchange or anything like that. Most situations, especially on projects like that, we don't get so lucky. And you'll have some back and forth, and with this narrow window with half of those not even being identified and initial communication not even being had with the property owners, it just didn't leave enough time for that side of the project to be included in this as well.
And doesn't mean we still will be pursuing bond
Correct.
anticipation, a forgivable bond anticipation note through SRF, which is their word for a grant, more or less. And they're gonna look at total phase 2 project, not just three tanks. They're gonna look at the transmission, distribution main, as well as the new tank at Armory Road, see how that impact, or how all those combined is gonna have an impact on the rate, and then possibly award us money based on what it'll do to our rate. So they'll take all that into account. I imagine if we get funded through CDBG funds, that they will take that into account as well.
Right, and we will have to have, for the application portion, I will have to have a commitment from SRF. I do have to have formal commitment in regards to this portion. And I'll talk to John and I can talk to Gail and everybody, we can talk to SRF on that to get that in time.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at, but the beauty of this is, if the city should choose to obviously pursue that second portion or the remainder of phase 2, it can go on at the same time as both projects can coexist and can happen at the same time. Because they are utilizing SRF as the match for both portions. Obviously, the other portion, SRF will be your sole source of funding. They both require, Davis-Bacon prevailing wage, and if they touch, it's okay because both projects require Davis-Bacon. So it doesn't, in this instance, it doesn't affect. On other projects, if it, say the new tank and the transmission line weren't utilizing SRF and they didn't require, Davis-Bacon, well, if any of that touched the portion that was receiving federal funds, it would automatically trigger that. So there would be, typically there's an increased cost associated on the formal bidding on that. So, but it's in a beautiful scenario that both projects can coexist.
Is this 514,000, what percentage of the cost, total cost for doing this, rehabilitating these 3 tanks?
That's 100%, well, that's 80% of the
Yes.
cost of rehab plus admin costs.
Admin and grant administration, but that's also your engineering, that's your permitting, that also has your RPR, your inspection permitting, or engineering costs and everything like that is associated. I believe the total tank, yeah, that's, and on that portion, because SRF, so actually in that portion, The 514,723 is going to cover, tanks, and your grant administration, labor standards, and your environmental. Because our fees cannot be covered by SRF, engineering fees can be. So the engineering will actually come on the SRF plus any additional, rehabilitation on the tank. I haven't done my exact budget breakdown to see where the construction and everything, where that remainder will fall.
When you say rehabilitate, what are we talking about exactly?
Rehabilitating.
We are
Are you talking
rehabilitating
about
the tank, so
Emptying
there's,
the tank, cleaning the inside,
yes, so it's
cleaning
gonna
the
be
outside,
cleaning
painting the
the
tank?
insides, it's gonna
Troubleshooting
be
that?
welds, it's going to be,
Possible to be some concrete base.
some
work.
concrete, some base work, anything to take it from their current condition up to basically where they could get you another 30 to 40 years use out of them. That's the optimal goal.
I was thinking that cost was a lot higher than $500,000.
Well, it is, I mean, if you look at it, your total project cost is $643,000 is what this portion of it is.
And that's just for the 3 tanks, that's not for the new tank.
Correct.
So that
Yeah,
may be, that may be what.
The
he's
majority of the
thinking.
cost on phase 2 is coming from the transmission line and
Right.
from construction of a new tank. I think both of those are somewhere around 2.5 million,
Okay.
somewhere in that, one maybe 2 million, one maybe 3 million, somewhere around there.
So this only takes care of the 3 tanks that we were
Correct.
rebuilding?
This is only the 3 tanks, so this is only the existing Deer Creek, the existing Hilltop, and the existing Armory Road.
And our portion is 20%,
Correct.
that's 643.
Yes, so your total, your match is 128,680.96.
Where's that come from?
That comes from when we bond through SRF for phase 2.
So we'll have to figure that out, how they wanna do that portion, if you can bond it all at once and get, if we could get that other, cause there's gonna be a lag,
Right.
obviously, on that second portion.
And it's gonna be too early for us to see if phase 1, if we had any underruns to act as a match.
Right, but you could you utilize that for the second part? You could
I
utilize,
thought we
I
could.
think you
Yeah,
should be
we
able to
can-
just roll that
Yeah,
Yeah.
that,
into it.
that was my understanding.
Yeah,
We could utilize, any underruns for
So
phase
if
2.
we have, yeah.
so,
But
we'll just
Even
need to figure that
by
out.
the time we go to do phase 2, we won't know all our underruns. Just because our construction completion date, I think is May of 2020.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you could.
Right, and on this, like, if it's awarded, so, if it is awarded in this first round, we would tentatively get that notice in, I believe it's August. So then from August, you have technically, on the construction side, you would have 6 months, to get your project bid. And that, there's a lot of in between, on that side. So, and during that 6 months, that would, also include, cause I believe, that would be to your bid, and then after bids are received, then you would close on your SRF loan for that portion.
Since we can't take all these tanks off at the same time, how is the time frame in terms of timing the?
That I cannot answer, as I am not your engineer, and I don't know how that's going to be, timed out.
We may have to wait for the new Armory Road tank to be constructed before we can take any of these 3 offline.
Mhm.
We will have the new ground storage tank down on Carrollton Road. That one should be up and running by May of 2020. So that provides us additional capacity where we may be able to take off either the Deer Creek tank or the Hilltop tank. I'm not 100% on that.
Right.
I don't think they've figured out a schedule for it yet.
Yeah, and that's why we said, you know, if we can do this portion with the CDBG funds, but, have the city continue to move forward on, I mean, it's gonna be a lot of coordination to get all of that land and all those easements and everything taken care of. I mean, that needs to be, if you're wanting that started and constructed prior to these, things are gonna have to be really the ball's gonna have to be really rolling. So that's definitely a conversation that I would be having with your attorney and with the engineer to make sure that you're following, because that's still, I don't know exactly if you still have to follow URA on that side as well. I'm assuming you probably might have, there's gonna be some type of process.
So if we apply for this grant
Uh-huh.
and we receive the grant, how long have we got to use the money?
So you have 18 months, for completion of construction from your award date. So
Can we get all that done in 18 months?
you certainly can.
Can
Yep.
we get all those tanks done in 18 months?
I think so. Barring catastrophic weather.
I see
Right.
him smiling back there.
Right, it does
When he
take, it
smiles,
does
I wanna
definitely
ask a
take
question.
coordination, and it also depends on, you know, the size of the crew, and everything of the awarded contractor. Like we're doing two currently in Florida right now, and on the same, like we're doing 2 tanks there in Florida, and the one is almost completed and they've just started work on the second one, so.
It doesn't look slick too.
I know,
It's a nice looking tank.
it is a very nice looking tank.
It's a lot smaller than what we got. but-
Yes, it is, but it is definitely possible. And obviously weather, especially with tanks, weather is a huge, huge player because they can only be painted in certain temperatures. Certain work can only be done during certain weather. It's definitely doable. It does take coordination, and obviously with the current situation of only being able to take truly one off at a time, if that other tank gets completed, so, fingers crossed.
So realistically, when would we get the new Armory Road tank? That'd be in phase 2.
I mean, in phase 2, they could start construction in the spring of 2020 if this year proceeds as it should with bonding through SRF.
Yeah, 'cause this would be, so
What do you
August,
think, Craig?
September, October,
What do you mean, what I think?
November, December. Yeah, so I mean, technically they'd be starting about the same time, because we would get bids and everything, I mean, you have 6 months to get your project bid, so that would be February, and obviously they're not gonna do a whole lot
Right.
during the winter months on tanks. So I mean, construction ideally would be starting in spring. And then if they can go about getting all of them, and again, it just depends.
What if you don't get them all done? Can you apply for an extension? Or
So there is the
free?
possibility that we can get an extension. There is that always. Ultimately, our goal is to get it completed in the 18-month window. However, we do have means for it to be extended. But ultimately, our goal is 18 months. That is currently what is set in the guidelines for the grant. However, we do have means to get an extension. And there's just a little process that we go through with that, so.
That seems like a lot to get done, particularly if you can only take one tank offline and then do it and then take the next tank
Right.
offline.
Right.
How much interruption is that gonna be in our system, assuming we have the new Armory Road tank up? Is it gonna be?
I think that's the big key, you're gonna have to get the new tank up. You can't do nothing on the South Hill till that new tank and booster station's up. The new ground storage tank down here in the bottoms, we could probably take Deer Creek offline, and do that, but the hilltop tank and the ground storage tank, there's no way until that new tank's up and going.
So the plan is in the end, you'd have 2 tanks there?
Correct. For redundancy, so you can take one off for maintenance.
And as soon as that tank's done, you can take the old ground storage tank off, and, I mean,
Is that gonna be a raised tank or
That'll be ground storage.
just like the ones up there?
Correct.
Okay. That big?
I'd imagine they're pretty close, I think.
Maybe 750,000.
Yeah.
The one we got's now 600.
610, yeah. And it's just so we don't fall into this problem in the future. You can take one off and do the other one, and, vice versa, so.
But unless you can get the water up the hill, that's what the that ground storage tank has to be, the line has to be run before the ground storage tank can be effective anyway.
Not necessarily. To be optimally effective, yes,
Be more productive, yeah.
yeah. I don't think the transmission main should hinder anything for the rehab on these 3 tanks.
Will it be done at the same time virtually?
I don't know. It depends on what crew they have in,
Yeah,
when they can.
the tanks would take a lot longer than
subcontractors.
running the transmission main, so. There's a lot of work goes into building the tank. There's a lot of work in painting it, and I mean, weather's a big problem with it. You gotta blast it, there's, just depends.
And that tank's the worst of.
The ground storage tank?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you got a location for that tank, the additional tank?
We got an area.
Somewhere near our existing tank.
No, I think it's great if we can get money to help on rates and everything.
Would that affect the rates?
Yeah, if we got 514,000.
Mhm.
Yeah, because then that's gonna be less that you're gonna have to take from SRF. It's gonna be less on your loan.
Is there a chance we wouldn't get this?
Yes.
There's
Yes,
a chance.
yes, there is a chance. These are highly competitive rounds. However, there is, so typically, if a project is not awarded the first round, there is a second round in the fall. But they aren't anticipated to be awarded then until January. So it would then set things back just a little bit, on your scheduling.
But the deadline for this grant is June,
Yes, is June 28th, correct?
and it's awarded in August?
In August,
We
yes.
would know in August for sure.
Yes.
We're getting it or not, okay.
Yeah, and I don't have an exact date on the August, but I'll have that for the next public hearing, that we'll be able to get that.
Any other questions?
Do we have any tank we can take off today?
Not comfortably.
So this grant, when they award the grant, then you have 18 months?
Correct.
So we have to, at that time, we have to get a new ground storage tank on Armory Road before we can start using this grant.
Maybe.
Maybe,
We may be able to take the Deer Creek tank off once we get the ground storage tank by.
Right.
Road.
right, because I mean, you have the other tank outside of the Armory Road tank, correct, that's going in? Do you have
Correct.
two tanks?
Yeah,
Yeah, so
we'll
there's
have-
2 tanks.
We'll have 2 new ground storage
Okay.
tanks, one in phase 1, one in phase 2.
Right, so hopefully you can get that one.
Phase 1, hopefully that'll be done.
Should be by May of 2020, according to the schedule we have right now. It's the preliminary schedule.
Hopefully they hold to that. That would be sure.
Any other questions?
So we need to approve the application for this grant. Do we need to do that?
Yeah, you
If
can.
you want to authorize me to sign that.
Yes, so there is an
Authorization of
authorization of submission that goes with the proposal, there's additionally one that goes with the application. So if you would like to today, you can authorize the mayor to sign that, and we can go from there.
I make a motion that we
Authorize.
authorize the mayor to sign this proposal.
Second.
Motion is second to authorize the mayor to sign the authorization of submission for proposal. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have anything else under the public hearing section?
That is
of this
it.
meeting? Does the board have anything further regarding the public hearing section of this meeting? Superintendent Myers? Clerk Treasurer? All right, it is 9:26. We will close the public hearing. Is there anything further the board would like to discuss? We are meeting next Thursday. We don't have a meeting Monday since it's the 5th Monday of the month. So I really don't have a lot to do this week.
So next Thursday we have a meeting.
Yeah.
No, list of flowers, how are we?
Oh, flowers is supposed to be in May the 1st.
Okay.
We have cleaned all the greenery out. as soon as the flowers are here, we'll get the potting soil picked up. We checked yesterday, Menards doesn't have it on sale yet, as soon as we need 2 cubic for.
Tell me, I'll go pick it up.
4 more minutes.
Oh, well, we can get, Dick and I'll be in
Okay.
town, we can get it, but, okay. And then Tyler Mose sent me a text saying that he'd be willing to help with some other people. And I said, great, I will let him know when we get all that coordinated. And so at night, I've been laying up sleeping time, been laying all this out so that, you know, people aren't standing around, we're moving forward to get it done. And if we do, it should work out just fine.
And that will be on May the 1st, or will it be?
The plants will be in around May the 1st, you know, depending on how the ups and downs of the weather. Pearson's will have that in, she'll call me, and then we'll get those picked up. I'll get those picked up, and then I'll get them divided up how they go. And then if we can get, you know, 4 or 5 people, one to move dirt, you know, move around, it shouldn't take us too long to get them planted this year.
Have you got my phone number?
Yes, I do.
You
Do
will
you
call
want
me
to help, will
once
you
you-
help?
I will.
Okay.
Do you imagine it'll be the weekend of the 4th and 5th then?
You know, I'm hoping to, if weather holds out, that would be a good thing, but, you know, I won't know till the plants are in.
Gotcha.
So
Shoot
is
me a
that,
text too, and I'll try to get some
Yeah,
high school
I'll-
kids and Boy Scouts.
yeah. Well, the basic thing is, I think what we can do is work ahead is have somebody go ahead and fill the potting soil in, go around and plant, how they should be done, and then someone following the gator to water. You think that works? That works pretty good, okay. I ran that by my husband at 3 in the morning. So anyway, I've been thinking about them a lot, yeah. We want them in full bloom by the day of your wedding, so,
Absolutely.
you know, it's a grand day, so.
Gotta be some good news, right?
Yeah.
All right, anything else for the board work session?
I have nothing.
I would move to adjourn.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? It is 9:28 a.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.